Hi everyone, welcome to our podcast. Today we are talking about mental health and emotional resilience for single parents. Or a guest, Diona Sargent is not only a mental health supporter but also a single mother who works with families and youth at Peel Children's Aid Society.
So, being a single mother comes with unique challenges, stress, financial pressure, and emotional struggles. That's the reason we are joining together to work search lots of things related to add on this emotional topic, that is single mothers, their dealings, struggles, and all the sufferings. And today we have Dion, who have knowledge regarding all these things. She not only work with youth and children but also deal with parents, and with that she is a single mother and she know all the struggles and all the things. So with her we will explore ways to build resilience and navigate these challenges.
What listeners can expect, we will hear Dion's personal journey, her work helping families, and expert strategies to support mental well being.
Okay, let's go to some personal stories. Dion, can you share your journey as a single mother balancing work, parenting, and mental health?
So I would say my journey is might not necessarily be typical of all single moms, because I would say that single moms, we all have different journeys, we all have different ways in which we became single women, right? Single parents. So for myself, I do have two girls, and I had lots of support from family members. I At the time I was employed with Peel Board of Education, and then I switched over to Children's Aid Society. So I was gainfully employed, and had my own place and things like that. So those were the things that I had going for me. On the flip side, with children, of course, you want to get them into activities, you want to do different things. So those are the parts where more expense comes in. And sometimes you might get some support from family members, just trying to keep your children active and doing things that will help with their well-being. I would
And
say one of the things that I found as a drawback as a single parent is not being able to attend certain activities with your kids. So, for example, sometimes if you're going out for an outing, if they have an outing at school, because you're working, you might not be able to go and join them. Or if they have some other activities that are having, sometimes you might have to miss those activities because you might not be able to go. Someone else might have to go in your place, or you might have to be creative to kind of assist your child in knowing that yes, you're still there, you're still being a support, but you might not necessarily be there. So those are some of the drawbacks that yeah, you just have to know how to speak with your kids in those circumstances, because they would feel, you know everyone else's parents are here but mine are not. So yeah.
if you ask for some challenges, what were the biggest challenges, emotional challenges especially, you faced and how did you overcome them?
I think emotional challenges would have been I think knowing that your children, although I wouldn't necessarily say it's all bad, but just knowing that your children might not necessarily have a two-parent family home. That doesn't mean that the other parent is not necessarily in their life, but in your home, it's you and your children. Um, Having time, being able to have time to do other things outside the home. One of the things I think other single moms would say is just having time, right? Time to do. You finish work, you come home, you're a parent again. You're doing things, right? So a lot of time is not. You don't have a lot of time in order to deal with what you would like to deal with personally. And at times, I would think some anxiety around, am I doing a good job as a parent? Am I, um, If there are things that I could be doing that's different, right? Things like that. So I think some of those thoughts and ideas are things that as a single parent you kind of think about, and you also sometimes, if you have friends or if you have individuals that you can talk with, you might be able to bounce off ideas to say, okay, I'm doing this and this, what do you think? Right? Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
that's
So, what are the support systems or strategies help you stay emotionally strong?
strategies that help me stay emotionally strong. I would say first and foremost, family. I think not necessarily just family alone, but having support systems in place where, and I know not everybody has supports, right? Some people are here, they're just here with their children and that's it. And you don't have any supports. So, but having support system is, I think is key. Being able to prioritize some sort of self-care, because you can only give so much of yourself. And we even know that two parent family homes, people are stressed out, people are very much in need of time for themselves as well. So being able to figure out, okay, how do I get some time for myself? What do I do? For example, for me, sometimes my siblings will babysit, or um, if I want to have a movie night or something like that. Sometimes if the kids go to bed and I know it's a Saturday night, I can stay up a little bit later and, just have some time for myself. So it's using what you have and being trying to be creative. Also finding community resources. There are community organizations out there that you might be able to partner with who can help you and support you in doing activities, or being able to have activities for the kids while you go and you can do something. So it's basically as well just looking around in your community for organizations that can help you with being a single parent, right? There are some organizations out there that you can go and have playtime where you can do stuff with your children. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. No?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the answer for my question.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but
Yes.
self-care is very important, because without you, you cannot pour into others if you have nothing. So you need to be
Mm.
able to somehow rejuvenate yourself in order to help your children as well.
Yes, that's definitely true. Dion, even I have saw like a lot of ladies, they suffer a lot when they don't have sport. Sometimes they like sacrifice lots of things in their own life, and which affect their whole life. And that is a great answer. I have a related question, like how has your personal experience, the things you face in your daily life, so as a single mother, shape your work with families at Heal Children Aid Society?
I think that being a single mom, it kind of, not that you don't have empathy, you have empathy in this job, um, but I think that it gives you a little bit more of an understanding, a little bit more understanding around frustrations, a little bit more understanding of burnout, a little bit more understanding of anxieties and all these different stressors. So when you're working with families, with single moms with children, you have a better understanding where they're coming from, especially when it comes to um, you can see the frustration, you can see the stress on the parent, right? And you know that, okay, they need help. They need help in the sense of not just strategies alone, but help in, like, okay, someone needs to take the children for a couple of days or a weekend so that mom can get some time, right? So how do we work around that in order to build a wraparound supports around mom so that she can get better, so that she can have some time for herself. And that's one of the important things, because if mom's doing better, then the children will do excellent, right? So it all depends on, most times, as we say, if parents are doing well, the children are doing well, right? So that's very important. And it's important for single women to know, single parents to know, sorry, the importance of that. Yeah, it's
Yes,
very
like
important.
yes, not I think only the parents, but also the whole family, that how to manage all the things in that kind of situations.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think sometimes when families see their single parent, um, when they see the burnout, when they see the struggles, when they see the individual becoming snappy very quickly from little conversations, then you realize that, okay, someone needs to step in, something needs to be done, because this individual is stressed to the max and they need some extra support. As I said before, one of the things that we find is that some individuals do not have any support. So, what is it that you do with that, right? Well, how do you help that individual that you know that, okay, they have no supports? And that's when a lot of times I might see parents, and then you kind of start to build resources around them or let them know, okay, this is available and that is available. These are the things that you can practice, these are things you can do. Prioritize like time management in order to get some time for yourself, right? Yeah.
and
Yes,
now we are moving to the part three, which is mental health and emotional resilience. So, Dion, I want to ask you something like, what are the most common mental health struggles single parents face, and how can single parents prioritize self care when they have so many responsibilities?
So the first part was, what was the first question? The struggles?
Like,
No, you said,
yeah,
what was the
struggle, yeah.
first part? The major
I said
struggles?
most common, yeah, common mental health struggles single parents face.
Okay, common mental health struggles. Okay. So I would definitely say feeling depression. I would say that's one of the areas, especially if life is not going well.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety, wondering if I'm doing a good job. Is things going to get better if things are not going well? Feeling of at times being inferior, because sometimes you see other individuals and seemingly on the outside life is going looks like it's going well, and you think about your own life and what's happening. So I think these are just some of the major struggles that they have, is that we have, is that um not being able to deal with some of those stressors that we have, especially depression, anxiety, not knowing what we're doing, if we're doing a good job at parenting, especially when we're parenting little ones. One thing with parenting little ones is that in the first 5 years of life, that's when kids learn the most, right? So we want to be able to give them the best so that they have a great foundation. And if mom's stressed out, if mom's having issues around anxiety or depression and things like that, I'm not saying they wouldn't, but they might not be getting the best, right? So we need to get mom to that place of having those supports around her again, in order to so she can be where she needs to be, so that she can provide for her children.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So this is how they can like
And your second half of
how
the question.
yeah, how they can prioritize the self care when they have a lot of responsibility, especially.
Yeah. And that's the challenge. Even with myself, sometimes my I mean, even now my older kids would say, no, my kids are growing up. They're like, Mom, you need to take some time for yourself. You need to do, because we feel that we can go, 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 go. And we do need to stop and prioritize. So, one of the ways in which we can do that, again, is reaching out to others, reaching out to community resources, reaching out to friends. Um, at times, as I was saying, set aside some time for yourself if you can. I know some ladies like to go to the salon and do stuff like that, right? But try at least once every 2 weeks or something. Maybe if you like reading, maybe try to go to the library where you can sit quietly, do something that you like, that you know will bring a sense of relief to you, that will help you decompress, and it will also give you a new lease on, I want to say lease on life, but it'll give you a new release, right? So when you go home to your children, you're in better space, you're less stressed, right? Because you've just done something that you want to do. Now with, I would say, with individuals who do not have um any supports, definitely we need to do some research and find out what's around you within your neighborhood, within your community, that you can find supports. Um, so, like, what organizations are around you, what are supports are at your school, at your children's school. Sometimes they have drop-in centers, right, where you can drop in with your children and interact with other women, interact with other families. Those things will help to bring a little bit of relief because you realize you're not alone, and it kind of helps a bit on that mental strain of feeling you're by yourself all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, Yes, like Dion, we are like talking about the stress, and yes, there are some families like some parent who feel overwhelmed but has a very like little support. Someone are like they have no family members, so at that time they are not like if they are not aware about any organization about any like thing. So what should they do at that time?
I think that if they do not know of any organizations, I think that Google is your friend. I would say, and it can take you places in the sense of, okay, if you Google community resources, or community resources, and you say community resources in Brampton, right? If you plug that in, you should be able to maybe get somewhere to see what are some of the resources, because I don't want to say, depending on who's watching, I might not necessarily know in Scarborough and Toronto, right? But that's one way in which you can also find community resources, is by just going online. Most of, I would say all of community resources are available. They would have a spot online that you can go to. Um, Even if you just go to resources for single women, sorry, single parents in Peel, right? That will probably take you someplace. Like it'll give you some research. If you attend a church or a mosque, they might be able to have resources that they can say, okay, check this out or check that out, in order to find some help. It will take a little bit of research to find something that would be good for you. If your children are school age, I would also say talk to the principal, talk to the counselor at school. They would also be able to tell you, okay, these are the places that are available. They might be able to give you a handout of places that would be good for your child's age and stage in life. Talking about age and stage in life, that's also very important to note that during that time of life, ages and stages and what's happening in your kid's life is very important, right? So you want to know that, okay, when my child is 4 years old, these are the things. I'm not saying that they should be doing it, but these are things I should be looking out for in the life of my child. These are the things I should be working with or working on in the life of my child. So it's very important to know the ages and stages of your child's growth, and as a single parent, you can get some, be able to talk with others, right? To see, okay, who's doing what? My child is walking. My child is doing this. Oh, my daughter, she's not doing that yet, but she's crawling, right? So you kind of get to bounce off ideas and thoughts with other individuals who might be going through the same ages and stages as you are, right? So you kind of be able to make friends and also create memorable friendships, hopefully.
Yes, that's like the best way to do all these things. Thank you, Dion.
You're
And now,
welcome.
Ritika.
Yeah. How can single parents recognize that if their children is struggling like emotionally, and what can they do about it?
I think one of the things as single parents or parents in general, if you see your kids are struggling, is well, first of all, you'll see some sort of change in their behavior. You might see change in how they interact with others. You might see that they might be a little snappier in a sense of response, right? You might see emotion, they get very emotionally very quickly if that's not who they are. So that's the time when you will then have to set aside and have some one-to-one conversations. And I would say in your conversation, you're not being judgmental because that's important. You want to hear what that individual has to say as to what's going on. And if they're not ready to talk at that particular time, just let them know you're available. You're here, you want to hear, you're not um asking them so they get into trouble. Let them know that you're concerned and use this is what I see. Oh, Tommy, this is what I see. I see that when I speak to you, you're being snappy, or at school I heard you got into a fight or something like that, right? So you have to use that nonchalant kind of tone of voice in order to show that I really care. I want to know what's happening with you. um Even if that means when you go out for a walk, right, you bring up that conversation. But just having that conversation where you're not judging, and just listening as well, because that's so important, right? A lot of times we interrupt, or in our minds we're already thinking what our response is to that individual, but we sometimes need to listen and give that person or that child the time to speak, and also show that we're listening by nodding, by paraphrasing. And if they need the supports, then you let them know, okay, I got your back. I'm here for you, right? Mom and mommy's gonna do X, Y, and Z. Mommy can come into the school. Let's say it's a school issue. Mommy's gonna come into school and talk to the principal, or mommy's gonna, these are the things, or what is it that you think mommy should do, right? So you can also list their inputs into it. But you will definitely see a change in that child's demeanor if you know your child very well. And be it, as I said, be it they're crying or they're fighting or they're doing something that is out of their norm, right? And then that's the time when you really really need to, if you have not been checking in with them on a regular, then this is definitely the time to check in on the regular, because you realize, okay, something's going on, right?
Right.
Yeah.
This
Mm-hmm.
is the good,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, if the parents talk to their children, then they can share, like, in the
Mm-hmm.
friendly way. That is a good
Yeah.
point. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, uh, is there any like free or accessible mental health resources for the single parents?
Free mental health resources, that would also mean if you access your local, as I was talking about, the local resources or local organizations. So there is an organization by the name of Roots in Peel. There is Children's Aid. There is a couple of other organizations that it takes a quick Google to find those organizations. Or as I said before, if you go to your school and you let the school know, okay, these are some of the things I'm looking for, they might have the resources to give you. Um, but definitely um, go to Google and put in just a simple search of supports for single parents and see what you find there. I don't necessarily want to say this and this and this because all of my information might just be for Peel, right? But depending on what it is that you need, let's say you need a single dads group, right? You're a single dad and you need a single dads group. So then that's something you can look up in Peel and see what you can find. I know that if I can find it, I can look to see if I can. I'm not quite sure if I have it. Um, mm, okay, one second. Can you still see me?
Yes.
Okay. So like you can look up free resources for parents and caregivers or parenting in Peel, resources for single parents in Peel. And you can just continue to look and you'll find different resources that are there. Or if need be, just go to, as I said, go to your local school or go to a community center and you should be able to find some resources that would be beneficial for you to yeah, to help out.
Yeah, thank you for your help. Like, we will definitely, like, this will definitely help to find the resources.
Mm.
Hmm.
So,
Yes, definitely. I think that that depending on where you're at, you should be able to find those resources very easily because they are there and they want to be found. Right? Because they're there for you. That's their job is being there to kind of help individuals be able to be successful because we
Yeah.
know what's out there and that a lot of people do not have those resources. So definitely Google and look to see what's out there. Um, they, as I said, there are some organizations in Peel that are um, that have resources for depending on your um, what am I thinking of? Depending on your nationality as well, right? You should be able to find stuff that deals with if you're from, let's say, from the Caribbean, if you're from um, Southeast Asia or North or wherever you are, there's now in our society something for everyone, right? That you can
mm,
find. So it's yeah, and don't be scared about what people are going to say. I know a lot of times people think of oh, children's aid, you know, they do this, they do that, and people and there's a stigma with that. But I would tell you that for me and my job, I do a lot of work inside and I go into homes and I do a lot of prevention work, right? So if you do need help, you can contact and if need be, we have a CYW come in and talk about tips and tricks and things that work and do some mediation. And if you need resources, then there are resources that they might be able to say, okay, this organization might be a better fit for you. Or you're as a single parent, okay, maybe we can provide respite. Respite is where there are organizations that you can send your kids to that will maybe have them for the weekend or something like that, right? So the parent can get some time for themselves, right? So it's called respite, right?
mm,
And that's in really um when there's a big, like a really big struggle and the parent needs some time and the child needs some time away from the parent and there's no other way. So respite is also available, but reach out to who you want to reach out to, and then uh, you will be able to get some help, be it, yeah, in that way. So definitely do not be afraid to ask for help. That's the
excellent.
number one important thing.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Tian, that is very helpful because I have met lot of people who are not aware about all these things. Even the last time I met with a family, they were like, they want some time, they want some skills for their kid, and I was only aware about the Square Circle, which is in Toronto. So I mentioned about that organization to them. But now connecting with you, like, or everyone will get to know there are a lot of things which would be beneficial for them and they can get help. uh, so it would be very helpful. There are a lot of people who don't even search. They think that that is like our kids means our responsibility, but it would be great help. So thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm,
They're all online. Most of the organizations are online, and as I said, they're geared to also. Let's say you want a cultural match for yourself. You don't, you just say this is what you want. So for example, some individuals who are Black or Caribbean, there is an organization called Roots, and they deal with a lot of Black individuals. You doesn't mean that they don't deal with other cultures, but that's what that's there for. And then there's other organizations that deal with South Asian youth, right? So it just all depends on what you want. It's out there for you, right? Yeah.
so it means we are a community and we all are here to help each other. So if I'm
Yeah.
asking about something about children's mental health, especially about them, so how can single parents help their children cope with family changes or stress?
hmm I think one way in which we can help our children deal with family stresses is depending on their age.
Mhm.
Um, that depends on what you say, right? Because you don't want to burden little ones with too much information regarding what's happening in the family and things like that. Let's say the stress is around family violence, right? We don't want to burden our children or have them around when these things are happening. So I would say it's best to, if you have family that they can go to and things like that, so they're not at home having to deal with that. Or how can the parents then find resources or help in order to help with that? Because children do um, they do hear, they do see, and sometimes parents think that they do not that it doesn't make an impact, and it does, right? So we need to talk with them. We need to use that appropriate language in order to listen to what they have to say, right? Especially when they're struggling with what's happening. We do need to have that conversation, and as early as possible try to get them out of that situation, right? Be it having them spend some time with an aunt or an uncle, mom and dad try to get their self together, or mom try to get herself together, right? If we're talking about single moms, utilize those community resources so that we can make changes in what we're doing, right? So those are the things that parents are going to do in order to help. Because if parents are getting help, or the single mom is getting that help, then we hope that it trickles down to their children, right? And letting them know that it's not their fault. Whatever is happening, right? It's not anything to do with them. It's not their fault, and and try your best to use language that's appropriate for them, and the content that is appropriate for them when, if you have to speak to them about what's happening in the home, or how they're feeling because of things that are happening in the home or even outside. I mean, sometimes it's things that are happening outside. Let's say a traumatic incident happened outside and they're affected by that. How do you deal with it, right? You try to have that conversation with your child. You try to be there for them, answer their questions. If they need professional supports, try to get those things in there, because the earlier we can deal with it, then the quicker they can get better. Right? Does that answer your question?
Perfect, perfect. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing this one.
Okay.
uh, Yes, John, what you have mentioned that is true. Like they hear, they see each and everything. And being a babysitter, I have noticed all these things. Even a 1 year kid, he copy each and everything what we are doing. The like he try to do the same. So that is absolutely true thing. After that,
Mm-hmm.
like there is a thing that come is like bond. So how like can you tell us some ways how parents can strengthen their bonds with their children during especially the difficult times?
Mm. So I would say, as a parent, you should be trying to bond with your children, regardless. I know, as a single parent. Let me give you this. Tell you one thing. Um, During when my children were little, I was either at work or I'm at home, or maybe with my parents or whatever. But I'm always, if I'm not at work, I'm with my children. And I would be, they would be playing, doing whatever. I might be upstairs in my room, and I would always think to myself, yes, I'm with my children all the time. I'm with them. But at some points, I realize I'm with them, but I'm really not with them, because I'm home, but you're not necessarily communicating. You're not necessarily doing some of those things that would help to create bonding or bring memories, right? So then I'm like, oh, I'm here, but really I'm not here because they're doing their thing. I'm doing my thing. But you think because you're in the house that that's all that's needed. No, you need to be interacting. You need to be doing activities that a lot of times I'm pretty sure you would remember, um, things that you did with your parents when you were little, right? You create memories so that this is what you want to do in order to bring, um, I guess, positivity to your kid's life, is to help to create memories and also be there. So you're doing activities with your children. Spend time, depending on if they're little, going to the park. If they're a teenager, or you're going to be doing activities with them. A lot of times I say to parents that in your car and food in your mouth is the best time to get teenagers to talk, because they're driving and they're eating, and you can ask questions and you can have a conversation and you get so much information, right? You're not necessarily doing it for information, but you're doing it because you're like, okay, we're sitting, we're vibing, we're chatting, and you have a normal conversation and you get so much from them. You hear about school, hear about who's dating who I like, who I don't like, and you get all these information. And then it's up to you as a parent to then say, okay, how do I then use that information for the betterment of my child or my family? Right? I know this is happening at school. I know that maybe she likes someone or he likes someone, or this person is doing something they shouldn't be doing. What advice am I telling my child as we're driving along, eating our burger? How do I instill those positive things into them? Because right now we're doing good, right? We're having a great conversation. So those are ways, especially for teenagers, to kind of get them to talk, take them out, do things with them. Just because they're teenagers doesn't mean they don't want to be with you. They might say they don't want to, but if you're doing activities and you're providing the money and the funding for the activities, and you have a conversation, not talking at them, but a conversation, you're able to, um, yeah.
Yes, like making us a safe environment or safe spot for them, that they get comfortable and share each and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like my parents are with me, even if they are not close, but they are there for me. We can share anything, they can do anything for us. So,
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of bond where they are like both
Mm-hmm.
are equally, I can indulged and doing the activities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up, and I want to ask, like, before we wrap up, Dion, what's one key takeaway you'd like to leave with single parents who might be struggling with their mental health?
I would say the first thing is, if you belong to a church, if you belong to a community organization, reach out to someone. And the first thing is reaching out to someone, right? who can you reach out to? If it's someone you trust at work, that you trust, because you not everybody you want to divulge what's going on in your life, but someone that you trust in order to get that start, right? And as I said, also, you can also look at different organizations that are available online, put in what you're looking for, and someone will answer you and be able to get to the second level. But I think definitely if you have resources around you in the sense of like your church, if you have a school or a school counselor that you might know, or a community center that you can walk into to say, okay, can you tell me what are some resources around that I can look at, right? And they should be able to say, or they should be able to help you to find something as an individual, um, for to get some assistance or some help. Yeah.
And what the message you want to give to the single mother or parent, who are struggling with mental health, or like the problems in their daily life?
In their daily life, one thing I didn't say is if you have a family doctor, because we can't necessarily just not think about that as well, right? Because you're going to get all of those help and assistance that way. But I know a lot of individuals sometimes do not have a family doctor because of how life is right now. You're using the walk-in clinic, you're back and forth at the walk-in clinic, which depending on the clinic may or may not be able to give you the accurate whatever it is that you need. But yeah, definitely, um, having a family doctor, having a doctor, and asking them for referral can also help you as well, um, as a single parent. Um, and if you have, as I said before, if you have um, at least one community resource or someone who can get you started, then at least that's something that's good, right?
Yes. Yes, that is helpful now, Ritika.
Yeah. If you could give one piece of advice to the parents trying to support their children, like the emotional well-being, what it could be.
Trying to do what with their children? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Wait, I just want to know the one message you would like to share with the single parents struggling with their like their mental health of the children, and uh, like what could you want to advise the parents to support their children in that time?
Okay. So to support their children?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are having, if you realize that your child is struggling with mental health, as I said, one of the quickest ways, depending on the severity of things at the time, is you can also access the hospital. If it's if it's at the point where it's like an emerging mental health, um, when you see your family doctor or you go to walk in, you can also check them out and say, these are the things that I'm seeing, right? These are the things that I'm noticing with my child. Talk with your child as well, right? Again, look at those resources around you, to see where you can get some help as well. But I think with severe mental health, definitely you want to seek that professional help. And then when you seek that professional help, then you can also get tied to other services, right? If it's a matter of conflict because of mental health, let's say a parenting conflict, mom is stressed out, she's tired, she doesn't know how to respond to her child, then you can also look at those community resources so that you can learn how to talk with your child. You will learn how to be able to take time for yourself, right? As a parent, the child will also learn how is it should I respond to my parent, right? What are some of the things I need to do in order to respond to my parent effectively so that we can get along? So you have resources, you have community resources that can do all that. But I would say in a severe state of mental health issues, you definitely need to seek professional help, as in seeing a psychiatrist, seeing someone that will then assist you in knowing what's going on in your child's life, right? What kind of mental issues are we having? Because it varies from being, it varies. Depression, anxiety, what is it that that child is experiencing? Yeah,
Yes.
get those diagnoses in if it's needed.
And thank you
That
for
was
your
powerful
advice.
explanation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Diona, for sharing your story and your experience. So, we have covered a lot today, from building resilience as a single parent to supporting children's mental health. Remembering, like, it's really hard to struggle, but if we have a community, if we are together, we can handle all the situations. Thank you so much, Diona, for this. So, if this episode resonated with you, or you know a single parent who could benefit from it, share this episode and follow us for more empowering conversations. Thank you for listening. Take care and well, see you next time.